Hey,
Hey, welcome to the Showcase Spotlight. I'm your host, Keisha Snacks.
thank
And
you.
I know we've met before and it was a pleasure. We're gonna just run this back, I have a couple questions for you today. So
Okay.
welcome
All
to our
right.
show.
All
Glad to
right.
have you back. So, Jackie, I read about you that you're a master fox.
Faux finish.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Tell me all about that. I want to start
Uh,
there and how and why and what got you into this? Like, what is this? Tell me more about it.
well, I mean, my I've been an artist my whole life and always wanted to be self-employed. So my first business was I'd been working in the wine industry and hospitality in Northern California.
Okay.
And I noticed the t-shirts were a big seller in the tasting rooms. So I started painting, doing hand painted t-shirts in the late 80s. And since I knew everybody in the hospitality, they bought some shirts and they sold. So this business took off and I started painting a lot of other things on shirts. And one day a lady came to me and said, "Hey, I love your designs. Do you do walls, interiors?" And this thing called faux finish was just becoming popular, and that's wall finishes. It's like wallpaper was going out of style, and people were looking for other things to do with their walls. So I went and I bought a book and I bought some big sheets of poster board and some paint, just started playing, and I'm like, this is really cool. So I it turned it into a 30-year business. And I've done everything from in museums, I've done murals, I've done marbling was my favorite thing to do. Like um, I've done home theaters where they wanted columns to look like they're marble, and people would show me a picture of the marble they want, and I can create it in paint. It's like magic. I mean, I did one job where I had just finished this home theater with these huge columns, and the client's friend came in, and the client says, "Look what Jackie did." And the woman was really confused. She was trying to picture out how I'm 5'2". She was trying to figure out how little me could have hauled those giant columns in there of marble. So, so I do.
Yeah,
I've done
marble
like
in there. Wow.
like
That sounds really awesome.
yeah, like plaster finishes, Venetian plaster, anything. It's like it was such a great career because people would show me a photograph in a magazine, or they would
Yeah.
give me a vision and I would make a sample for them. And I'm really good with color. I just instinctively really know color,
Yeah.
and I was always able to create an environment for people that it suited the entire family. Like no
Right,
matter,
right.
like one of my favorites was a Portuguese husband and an Irish wife. And then they had a variety of animals of different colors. And when I was done, it was like it just was right for
You
everybody.
like brought it to life, pretty much.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like,
add a little spice to it.
right. So my work is like when we all step back and go, wow, you
Yeah.
know. So that's what I did for 30 years. That's how I raised
30
my kids
years.
as a single mom. And I my last big job was just a year ago, and I'm almost 64 years old. So my last
Yeah.
big job was just over a year ago, and it was literally $1 million garage. And
Really?
he had me do a two-color faux finish on the walls, and I was on a 22-foot lift doing the ceilings.
Check you out. That's what I was saying. Like the ceilings, you're bringing these ceilings, making it look like gold, look like magic.
Yeah, it's funny you
So we
say
call
gold.
you a
I-
master faux magician.
right. Well, it's funny you said gold because I once did a bathroom for a client and she wanted all the walls done in gold leaf. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
applied 1,300 5 by 5 inch squares of gold leaf to the
yeah.
walls and then antiqued it.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's really nice. That sounds really nice. Really cool. Sounds like something like my grandma would have wanted back in the day because she's into like gold and all that, like the decorations that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I grew up on, and that's why I'm into stuff like that still to this day.
Oh, very cool.
I'm
Very
into
cool.
antique type of things.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'm an artist now, so all of my art incorporates all these techniques and things that I learned over the years
Yeah.
and incorporate that. And
Right.
I teach classes too. And I always
Really?
try to bring in some technique, some simple or
Right.
technique with a brush or with a rag or a piece of plastic to give you
Right.
a textured look. And yeah.
That sounds nice. Where would anybody go to take one of your classes?
Well, I do 2 classes a month online.
Okay.
And if people are Mystery Science Theater fans, I do classes based on the movies that Mystery Science Theater riffs, like Godzilla and Mothra and Gamera and the brain that wouldn't die. And, I, so like, oh, here, I mean, this is weird stuff, I tell you.
She
Oh,
said this
here,
is weird stuff. Oh,
no, here's the
that's
Godzilla
dope.
painting we did.
Yeah, that's hot. I like that.
Yeah, and then this week on Saturday, and my students they subscribe, and but we do a poll every month, and I give them like 5 choices. And this month they chose the crawling eye. So this is the one we're doing on
Oh wow, they
Saturday.
got octopus. Wow.
Yeah. The Crawling Eye movie is from 1959, and it's about this giant creature that comes well, no, this creature that's created out of an atomic bomb explosion cloud.
Yeah, that's dope though. That's like really a dope idea. You could put that on. You could put that on a T-shirt. It's gonna sell.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah.
I'm
But
telling you.
I do in-person classes and I teach all kinds of things. I just started teaching painting on glass, doing
Oh wow.
bottles with the little fairy light, a cork with fairy lights
Yeah.
inside.
Do you
Um,
know anything about like this epoxy painting? Like they have this epoxy because I know you spoke about like the marble and stuff, and I see like people out there doing like this epoxy painting and they're making like your countertop look like it's marble. It's
yes.
like what is that about? Do you know is that kind of
I,
close or similar or
I don't know that product particularly, but I've done those techniques
yeah,
and I know like on a countertop, something that is really durable, you definitely have to use certain types of paints.
yeah,
Otherwise, they're not going to stick. Same
right,
thing like with glass painting. I'm teaching painting on wine glasses, and you need to be able to wash them, for
right.
instance.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I always try things out. I test it. I put it through my own. No matter what the directions say, I got to make sure I know it's going to work before
Absolutely.
I tell somebody about it. But the technique that you're talking about that looks like marble with the
Yeah,
colors, I'll give you a quick hint. Try this if you want to just play with the idea.
yeah.
Is put rubbing alcohol in a little spray bottle
Right, right.
or have some rubbing alcohol and use acrylic paints and do it on, a piece of wood or paper or something. But while the paint's still wet, like blend some colors together, overlap some colors, and then flick on the rubbing alcohol either with
Yeah.
your finger or spray it. And everywhere that rubbing hole, it'll like create circles, you know, it'll,
Yes, that's dope.
and then you can even start turning it, you know, moving the board around and make it
Also, so that
move.
way it can slide and mix
Right.
in. Yeah, yeah.
So I would say play with it, just play.
Yes.
And that's what I say every time I teach. It's I always get people in my classes that say, "Oh, I can't." They always say, "I can't paint a stick figure," but you know, some of the best ideas in my art have come from stealing these ideas from people who don't know what they're doing. You know, sometimes their work is my favorite because they don't know, you know, quote unquote, the rules. It's like I always my thing is I say just come play with me. Don't
Right.
take it so seriously. It's just play. That's how we
Art is
learn.
creativity, you know what I'm saying? And when you play with something, you never know. You could really make these big bucks or just bring something alive. Because I remember there was a
Yes.
time I used to work for the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh,
And we were doing like this painting session. We're supposed to be doing some auction. So I sat down with the kids and I said, let me just do mine. I'm just playing around. And that was a Thursday and Friday that this painting took place, and we all did ours, submitted it. So I came back on Monday expecting to see my painting. I was thinking I wanted to take it home. I thought about it over the weekend. When I
mm-hmm.
got back, they were like, "Oh, yours was the first one sold." I was like, "What?"
Oh, that's cool.
I was
That's
like, "For real?" Like, I
awesome.
didn't even think that it was all that. But it was a good thing I took a picture of it. So I always knew, like, I still like have a picture of what it looks like and stuff to this day. And I was like, imagine that just having fun with something, somebody else will like, wow, that's amazing. You
Yeah,
know?
they get that energy. They pick up on it. You know,
Yeah.
you translate yourself through these things. And I'm so glad you said that. My dad, I grew up in El Paso, Texas, and my dad was executive director of the South El Paso Boys Club.
Wow.
And so I grew up with the Boys Club. And this was in the 60s.
Yeah.
And so it was right on the border. You could see the Rio Grande River and Juarez from, the Boys Club.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so the families, oh man, they'd have these big dinners where the moms would make all this homemade tamales and enchiladas and
Oh my
oh
God.
gosh.
Love
But
some.
no, me too. But I just remember, that was a wonderful thing, the boys club and the Boys and Girls Club. And
Yeah.
I mean, what a great organization.
It's a lot of community, and it's a
Yes.
root it's a root for a lot of people, and a lot of people that are celebrities today, and they provide a lot of direction and leadership to a lot of people today.
That's so great. Yeah. I'll have to look back into it. I've always been part of my community, and we just wrote a grant. I live in a rural community, a very small community in Western Oregon, and I've always been part of it. I started the Arts Council here years ago when I was raising my
Wow.
kids. I've been on the school board, but right now we just wrote a grant for youth for some art programs because we just don't have anything. We don't have a place for a theater program and it was art and theater that saved me as a
Right.
kid,
And you gotta have that, because so many like students, young children today, like teenagers, preteens, they need creative outlets. It's
They
like they've,
all,
they've
yeah.
become like these they're the artificial intelligent robots programmed by the media and stuff like that now. And they don't have any way they have TikTok and everything to express themselves, but creatively, like to actually like, art and express themselves right here on paper and stuff like that. It's kind of like a lost art,
Well,
you
there's
know.
healing, and there's so much healing in that. The psychology of it.
Healing is a big
I
thing.
was I was a depressed kid. I had a lot of issues, and my art and drama teacher were the ones that saved me. My theater teacher, he was a fifth degree black belt in karate. and he had studied with Bruce Lee, and he would start our drama classes with some Tai Chi exercises. And I still, to this day, remember that and know how important that was helping me to decompress at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need
kids
to pick that up.
Yeah,
A lot of people need to pick that up. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta do more for the kids. I mean, then, because that makes them better adjusted people. We wouldn't have nearly the troubles we have in this world if we helped out these people while they were children.
Yeah, especially like like now, like these suicide rates are higher in today's youth.
Yeah, my community, I just wrote this grant for this thing, and then I found out last week I was talking about writing other grants once we get through this one and demonstrate what it helped. And
Right.
then a friend of mine told me the next school over from us, which is much smaller, my community is only 1,000 people.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and then a much smaller school, a 14-year-old girl committed suicide a week ago.
Wow. See, this right there, like we need these outlets for these children. Imagine if you had something like that, to heal and to put that on, bring it out, and I feel like, we need that. We need to have that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're on the same page there, that's for sure. Yeah.
We just found out someone committed suicide off of something happening on TikTok. I don't want to get into that because it's something happened. There's a suit going on about that right now. I heard about that this morning on the news.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I'll say I was a suicidal teenager. My dad was suicidal, and I adored him, and I was gonna, if he did it, then I wasn't gonna stick around. I just made that decision. And so, like I said, those teachers, it was art and it was theater that saved me.
Saved you.
Yeah.
Is that when you got into acting? Is that that's how you got into acting? Pretty much.
Well, sure. My dad was in community theater and like heavily involved while he was running the boys club was his day job, and he was involved in theater and he was really good. He won Best Actor of the Year 3 different times during his time there, but I got into acting, and what I'm known for in pop culture is being the child in what's been known as the worst movie ever made. Manos, The Hands of Fate, the Mystery Science Theater found 27 years after it was made and put it on their show, and it became a huge hit. It's like one of the fan favorites. And my dad starred in it. I was in it. My dog was in it. My mom made the costumes. It was like, to me, it was like a family film.
Yeah.
But I learned to read by helping my dad run lines for, because I just, like I said, I adored my dad. So I wanted any chance to hang out with him. And so I'd help him learn his lines, and I learned to read. My mother was a teacher also, but I loved reading, and that's how I learned. And yeah, that's what got me interested in acting from the beginning. Was I loved the theater.
Right.
I'd hang out in the theater during his rehearsals, and then after the boys club, he actually got the job as the executive director of that same theater. So
wow.
So sometimes it was within walking distance of my school, and sometimes I just go right over there after school and just hang out. Hang
out, right? It became like your place, your spiritual place, and coming alive and seeing what's going on, and you picked up on a lot of skills too. Yeah. That's really good. I wanted to know, what's your favorite movie that you starred in? I want to know what's your favorite movie that you starred in, and I want to know what's your favorite movie that you didn't star in.
Oh, well, I haven't done that many movies, but the ones that I've been part of, my favorite is Primal Rage. It's a Bigfoot film,
Okay.
and and I met the guy who created it because of this other movie, Manos, The Hands of Fate. That's I've met so many really talented people because of this horrible movie I was in as a child.
Yeah.
But Patrick McGee, he created the costumes for Alien and Alien versus Predator,
Oh, yes, yes,
and
yes.
he's a costume designer, and he also played the part of the Predator inside the costume. This guy's 6'8". He's huge.
Huge. 6 foot 8.
Yeah, so he wrote his own movie called Primal Rage, Bigfoot film, and he wanted to do some scenes in a foresty area, you know, which is where I
Yeah.
live. I live in Western Oregon in the woods, in the forest, and so he ended up bringing his whole cast and crew up here, and I got to be in the movie along with my family. My ex-husband was in it, my kids, my grandkids, and we filmed a couple scenes in my backyard. And I have a 16-foot teepee, so we actually did the scenes we filmed were about a ceremony, a peyote ceremony, where the lead actor gets some visions. But it was fun. I got to do that. So that's my favorite film that I was in. But I was just reminded the other day of another movie that I just loved, and I watched it again a couple nights ago, and that's Secondhand Lions.
Secondhand Lions.
Lions. I
Nice.
love that movie. It's just such a amazing film. Yeah, just Secondhand Lion. I love that movie.
Okay, that's wonderful. If you could have chosen any movie to play in, what would it be and why?
Any movie to be in? Gosh. I don't know. I guess as a kid, I would have liked to be the kid in The Shining. That would have been
I remember
fun.
that.
Oh
Red
man.
Rum. Red Rum.
Yeah, yeah. I would have been that kid. I would have loved that.
Oh man, that's dope. Are you working on anything new these days? Any upcoming films that we're looking for? Is anything coming up?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, look on YouTube. There's what do you call it? Anyway, look up the Manos Chronicles.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Manos
there's a clip.
Chronicles.
Yeah, and there's a clip on there, and that should be done soon. I'm hoping that we get a distributor, and that this will be our first, just our first episode. I'm hoping that we're able to do more episodes.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to looking at those and seeing more to come. Well,
Yeah.
Jackey, it was very nice having you. It looks like we are down on the time today.
Okay.
It was a pleasure speaking to you. Oh my God, you are. Listen, I would like to be in touch. We'll definitely stay in touch. Hopefully, we're gonna get some information.
Please.
Yes.
A real pleasure meeting you. Yes.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right. You've just been showcased at the spotlight.
Nice.
All right.
Showcase.